Hello everybody, Flash Notion here, back for another reaction, surprisingly, to Transformers Cyberverse. Yeah, so this is the thing. Cyberverse has gotten, not really continuation in the sense that, that we're getting another full season of the show, but it's gotten a couple of these, specials. A couple of, hour-long, just stories that I guess they planned to do, wanted to do, I don't know. But we got two of them so far. And the title on the official YouTube version does say one of two. So I guess it is only two, which is kind of disappointing because I set up this whole slot specifically thinking that I'd be doing Cyberverse on a weekly basis, and it turns out I'm only going to be doing it for a couple of weeks. But hey, whatever. Now, I kind of want to go into talking about Cyberverse a bit more. I don't want to make the front end of this video too long, but I guess it doesn't really matter in the long run since the YouTube version is going to be 100% rambling. So yeah, I'll talk about it now. But yeah, Cyberverse. I mean, for me, Cyberverse Season 2 and then like the first 4 episodes of Season 3 was the best that the show had to offer. Season 1 was mostly just meh. It really was. A couple of the flashbacks were really cool, just showing us stuff that happened on Cybertron. But everything that happened on Earth was pretty meh, and in general, Season 1 wasn't really what I wanted to see out of the show. If we're being, well, not just out of this show, but out of any show, if we're being honest. They made it work for the most part, but it really was disappointing when it first started up, and it's just like, wait, this is what we get? And yeah, Season 2, though, it was a bit disappointing, the time skip, but once I got past the time skip, everything that happened in Season 2 was pretty friggin' great. There was just a lot of really cool, really fun stuff, and I really just, I didn't fall in love with this show, but it is a really cool show that has earned its place in Transformers. I don't know if history is the right word, but just it has its place. And hey, it was enough that I was willing to shell out and get literally all of the deluxe class figures as they were coming out. Which, yeah, there's still a couple I haven't gotten yet. I don't know if I am going to get them, because that Soundwave figure looks kind of eh. And I don't really have any attachment to, I think it was Prowl, or maybe it was Jazz. I don't know which one they did. Maybe they did both. I don't know. But either way, the Carformers weren't really my favorite. But, like, all the ones that made up Macadam, I got. And then I got Starscream, and he's really cool. What Dinobot was it that got a deluxe class figure? Was it, I think it was the Triceratops. Yeah, he looks pretty cool. Not the best figure, but still pretty cool. And then there's the deluxe class Cheater. He looks really cool. So, yeah. No, I did really like the characters and the direction that they were taking things. And then they got back to Cybertron Season 3, and the first 4 episodes were pretty great. Seeing the escalation of the battle and whatnot, it was really fun. But then that ended, and we got the Quintessons, and it was just kind of weird. And then we did the whole Windblade soul regathering thing, and that was weird. And it never really had a satisfying conclusion, I'd say, because the end of it was like bringing in this Megatron from another dimension that killed our Megatron, and it was just like, why? why would they do this? It's not really that interesting, you know? It's taking out a more complex and somewhat layered antagonist and just giving us one that's straight up pure evil, and it's like, why would you do that? So the ending, most of season 3 was kind of better than season 1 still, but like I didn't necessarily like the direction they went. And what we have here, I'm not sure what's going to happen in it, but I mean it's pretty cool. So the thumbnail did spoiler that there's going to be a Dinobot combiner in all this, which, I mean, I really like Volcanicus. I appreciate that design. I think it's, it makes sort of sense. Like, there's 5 members of the Dinobot team. Grimlock's a little bit bigger than all the others, sort of. So it kind of makes sense that, they'd be a combiner, like most other 5-member teams from G1. So, I do kind of like that. But at the same time, it was also kind of cool back before then that the Dinobots were just their own thing, and the only combiner that existed for them was not something the fandom talked about because it was terrible. But I still appreciate Volcanicus as an idea. And then I did see a little bit of the description. Okay, so the title is The Immobilizers, and the description says that Cybertron has been frozen in time. Which, yeah, that's a cool concept. I mean, come to think of it, like, there's been time travel stuff happening in Transformers before, but there's never really been, like, a time stop. So, like, yeah, the closest we got was actually in Transformers Prime with Starscream having the super speed formula that basically made time stop for him, which that was pretty cool. I'll be honest, I wish they'd played around with that concept a little bit more. But I understand that it was one of those things where, like, if they had kept that stuff around, it would have just been completely and utterly broken. But whatever. And speaking of Prime, I mean, there was a device in that series called the Immobilizer, which could, it didn't really, like, freeze bots in time, but it gave them a sort of, like, stasis lock, which was pretty cool. Kind of horrifying when you actually think about it, though. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, Dinobots, time freeze, all sounds pretty cool. We've got an hour-long special to get through, so let's get to it. Starting the special in 3, 2, 1... Alright, good enough. Okay, so that was interesting. Honestly, I'm not really sure what to make of it. Yeah, that went a lot of places. Okay, so let's recap to ourselves what happened. So we started with RC and Grimlock raiding another planet for they raided Nexus Prime's tomb, which fucking grave robbing. That's not cool. But whatever. And because of that, they were off planet when I guess Trypticon's gang attacked Cybertron. And they came back. RC got frozen when she confronted them directly. And then Grimlock found the other Dinobots who were from a previous planet that they had ransacked. And then the Dinobots all combined thanks to the Enigma from the tomb. working together. They figured out the combination, then they figured out a way to get past the Time Blaster. Then they took the fight to the gang, they beat the gang, and then they faced Trypticon himself, beat Trypticon, and that's pretty much it. The day was saved. Yeah, I mean, not a bad little story. Yeah, I do think it's I do think it suffers from that Cyberverse thing of not being able to show the stakes properly. You know, like there were nobody died, and nobody seemed like they were in danger of dying, which is it's a thing that's been kind of iffy in Cyberverse before. Some characters have died, obviously, but this was one of those cases where it would have been a lot more. Well, I guess they did. Well, there were stakes. We got showed a previous planet being blown up, but like we didn't actually get to see that planet. We didn't get to see the previous leader for these Dinobots. So like we have no idea. Like we don't have any attachment to that, so that destruction doesn't hit hard enough. Like it makes the stakes apparent, but unless those stakes are then enforced in the present, it loses the oomph. That and the fact that like they how do I put this? There are two kind of issues with the later half of it there, in that they never seemed to get around to the actual part where they were going to destroy the planet. If by the end of this they had already set up a device that was going to blow up Cybertron and were like about to start it on its countdown, and then they did start it on the countdown once the fight began, so they had to finish the fight quickly to disarm the device, that would have been better, I think. I don't know why they didn't do that. I also don't know why they did the whole Soundwave versus Sound Blaster thing. It didn't really contribute much of anything to the fight, and it kind of took Sound Blaster from being this really cool, intimidating villain to just being ridiculous. I don't know what to say about. I don't know how to feel about that. So, yeah. Now that I think about it, this is becoming a problem with Hasbro, isn't it? Because we just had that My Little Pony movie that I watched, where there were no stakes there either. There was nothing. So like, I don't know what's going on with Hasbro's writing teams, but they need to actually, enforce the idea that there needs to be stakes to a story for the audience to remain invested. It doesn't have to be much, but it needs to be clearly shown. Like, alternatively, if they did want to go down that route with Soundwave and Sound Blaster, they could have just left Soundwave in the machine longer, so that way, like, the Dinobots had to free him before he died. Like, that would also have been a way to put some personal stakes into the ending there and get the audience invested. But because there was nothing, and ultimately there wasn't really any... How can I put this? The invasion of... Or, like, this invasion by Trypticon's gang, the only lasting consequence to it that I see, aside from, Cybertron now having a new landmark, is, well, I guess landmark's the wrong word. Tourist attraction? I guess those are landmarks. I don't know. But yeah. Okay, Cybertron has a new tourist attraction in the form of the giant frozen dinosaur. But aside from that, the only real consequence seemed to be that, well, we got Volcanicus on our side now. So, yeah, like that's pretty cool, but like it makes it feel like the story is one big fat nothing. So I'm not really sure. And again, I probably wouldn't mind that if there had been more stakes going on. So, because I mean, in general, most stories end up being a big fat nothing, don't they? Like there are some consequences usually by the end of the story, but like nothing too major usually. The new status quo usually isn't that dissimilar to what it was before. You know, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm rambling at that point. But yeah, like I enjoyed it. It was funny in a lot of places. You know, they subverted a few jokes or didn't tell the jokes that I was thinking of. And the ones that they did tell were still pretty good. There were still a lot of moments where I was just like, okay, that's good. That's genuinely funny. The part about RC just plonking down after the whole ship crashes and explodes was pretty fucking great, actually. Just pink. No consequences. But I guess, you know, right there, no consequences. So it's just a symptom of the bigger problem, isn't it? I don't know. Because that's the thing, isn't it? As much fun as it was, as good as it was, the whole of Cyberverse feels like one of those things where it's not going to make a difference in the long run. You know? Like, it's weird to say, but pretty much every other Transformers series, for better or for worse, has left an impact on the franchise. You go back to G1, obviously, that's where everything got started. And then later on, we got, you know, Headmasters and Target Masters and Power Masters and all that sort of stuff. And then we got some G2 stuff, which gave us like G-Axis and Tank Megatron and a few other things like that have stuck around. Liege Maximo. And then you go over to like some more Japanese type stuff. You get like Transformers Victory. Now that has given us a few characters like Star Saber that have stuck around. And then you go into Beast Wars, and that's where we actually start getting into concepts like Sparks and, you know, Energon having different forms and being potentially dangerous to Transformers in high concentrations. It's where we get Transwarp and all kinds of other things that have just stuck around in the franchise ever since because they're good concepts. Beast Machines, I'm not really sure what that contributed, honestly. Maybe, I guess, yeah, actually, I guess that's where we got the term Viacon from, maybe. Or at least that's where it entered, like, the mainstream stuff, mainstream Transformers fandom. Other than that, I'm honestly not sure. I guess Botanica, but yeah, I can't remember what her actual name is, but I want to say it's Botanica, but I don't think that's quite right. You know what? Let me look it up. Why not? It's only going to take a couple clicks. Beast Machines. Cartoon. Okay, and we need characters. It is Botanica. Cool. Kathleen Barr. That name sounds familiar. Holy shit! Trixie and Queen Chrysalis. That's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, no. Sorry. Distraction. You know, that's why we don't go on Wikipedia that often. Or any sort of website like that. But yeah, Botanica, I guess, came from Beast Machines. There was probably some other stuff. Was that where the key to Vector Sigma being a terraforming thing came from? Or was that also present in G1? Or was it in, like, comics? I don't know. But then we got, like, you know, the Japanese Beast Wars stuff. That didn't have as much of an impact. But, you know, there was still some characters that, you know, people enjoyed. And then, like, the 2001 Robots in Disguise series, I mean, that gave us Skybite at least, so that was something. I don't know what else it gave us, but yeah, I think that's where we got Scourge from. Like not the Unicron Herald Scourge, but like the evil Optimus Prime Scourge, Nemesis Prime, basically. So that's I really like Nemesis Prime as a concept, and I think that traces itself back to that version of Optimus. And I also think that version of Optimus might have been the first one to actually be... that was gross. Might have been the first one to be a not a flat-nosed truck, but I guess snub-nosed truck is what they called it. So there's also that gave us precedent. And obviously, we have the mini-cons came about from Armada, and those have stuck around. I forget what Transformers Energon brought. It must have brought something. Didn't really... maybe it didn't. Maybe that's why it's the worst one. I don't know. But I guess, like... I don't know. I think Armada also gave us the Star Saber now that I think about it, so... And Requiem Blaster. For some reason, the Skyboom Shield didn't stick around now that I think about it. Oh, well. But Cybertron definitely gave us a few things, like the planet Cybertron actually being Primus's body. I don't remember if that was really like a thing in the past in terms of like he was still in there and capable of turning into a giant robot. I don't know when the Bible there came out. But it also gave us like the different colony worlds, I guess, was a thing that was really like put into the general consciousness of Transformers by Cybertron. So there's that. And then the movies gave us the Allspark as its own separate entity, I guess, because previously it was like a combination of different things. So the movies were what really solidified the Allspark as a MacGuffin, for better or for worse. And there were some other things that the movies have given us that have kind of stuck around. Animated was pretty good. I don't know if Animated contributed anything new, did it? It must have. There must have been something that wasn't in Transformers before Animated did it. I guess what Animated really started giving us, because this was about the time of the comics as well, but one thing that Animated started giving us more of was Cybertronian culture. Because for all that we had seen of Cybertron in the past Transformers series, there wasn't really any culture to it. There was never any sense of it being a place where people actually lived. Animated kind of changed that. So, I'll give it that. That is one thing that Animated definitely did. And then we got Transformers Prime, which... it was less Prime itself and more the aligned continuity that has given us the more streamlined lore. Things like transformation cogs, the various members of the 13, stuff like that have just been now fully, completely solidified in the fandom's mind forever. Again, for better or for worse. And then Robots in Disguise 2015. That one I'm not sure about. I watched it entirely, but I'm not sure what it really gave us, all things considered. I guess... I mean... bestial robot forms aren't exactly the most new thing out there. Like, that's been around. I don't know. Just kind of struggling with that one. isn't really a thing I can think of for that. Huh. That's bad. I mean, I guess it gave us a couple of characters that people liked. Steeljaw and Strongarm. And there's probably another one that I'm forgetting, at least. So, I mean, there is that. But new characters isn't like what I'm looking for in this case. I'm looking for things like lore and things that just really enter into the collective consciousness of the fandom, and people are like, yes, that needs to be a thing moving forward. And yeah, I don't remember anything like that from Robots in Disguise 2015. I'm not sure about Rescue Bots either, now that I think about it. Actually, there is a couple of things that came about from those. Just like the more versatility that the Transformers have. It's a concept that's been floated around for a while. I think the first time I really saw it was back in the novelization of... well, it wasn't a novelization. It was just a prequel novel that was put out for the 2007 movie. There was an idea floated in there that Transformers can basically store multiple alt modes in their memory banks and are capable of choosing which one they want to turn into at any given point. And that sort of versatility is something that got brought back with Rescue Bots. And Robots in Disguise 2015, even though I haven't really seen it capitalized on, gave them the ability to change up their paint jobs and whatnot just by scanning it. Which I guess Prime had done that before with them, with both Bumblebee and Smokescreen getting new paint jobs, but it was never really a thing in that regard. It was never really something that was expanded upon. And Robots in Disguise 2015 kind of made it a thing. So I can appreciate that at least. Greater versatility as to what being a Transformer allows for. Yeah, I can get behind that. And then there's Cyberverse. And, yeah. I can't think of anything that Cyberverse has really contributed that is something I would want to have stick around. Like this Time Freeze gun, the Immobilizer is not new. Vector Sigma wasn't new. Yeah, can't really think of anything. I mean, the Quintessons obviously weren't new. Them coming from another universe is a little bit different, but still, in general, the concepts that were shown for them, well, some of them were new, but, Quintessons are probably the most versatile part of Transformers lore in that they can basically be whatever the story needs them to be. They're just evil aliens that come and try to enslave Transformers or kill them or whatever. So, yeah. It's, nothing else to it. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't think there's anything that Cyberverse has actually contributed to Transformers lore, which is disappointing. Big ramble there, obviously. And it was only tangentially related to this thing that I just watched, but I felt like that's a pretty important thing there to, talk about, because it's it's one of those things where if a series doesn't contribute to the franchise and expand upon certain things or make certain things stick out more, if it doesn't have a reason to exist, then it shouldn't exist. there's something to be said for pretty much every previous Transformers series out there as far as lore or characters that from that series they deserve to stick around. They deserve to have a place in the mythology of Transformers. But Cyberverse has so far not really given me anything that I can remember that is worth keeping around. Maybe Iconus, the Titan? Maybe? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. But, like, even that's not that new, because there's always been Titans, and the number of Titans has just grown over the years. So, like, having another one isn't that special. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So far, I am not... I don't know. Why am I being so negative? It's not that I'm trying to be negative. It's just that I want Cyberverse to be something. It's just on the edge of being a thing. It's... How can I put this? Well, I mean, I've already said it. Every Transformers series previously has contributed something throughout its run. Is come up with something new. It has created characters or a story element that keep coming back in the future in various other incarnations of Transformers. And so far, Cyberverse hasn't done that. It is, in one sense, the ultimate celebration of everything that has come previously in Transformers. But in the other sense, it still needs to do something new that other series haven't in order to justify its existence. Otherwise, why would I watch this when I can just watch all of the other original, more novel series? If all this is just a collection of Transformers' greatest hits, why not just go watch those greatest hits? You know? It's kind of like, it's like, how can I put this? Okay. It's like when Hollywood makes a movie out of a book, right? Everybody who is a fan of the book wants them to do a more or less completely faithful adaptation of the book. If the book had some problems that even the fans are willing to admit to, then they might want those problems to be fixed in the movie form. But otherwise, most of the time, fans want a completely faithful book to or page to screen adaptation. And most of the time, they don't get that. Which is why a lot of times those fans are then in favor of remakes, because the remake is going to be more accurate to what they want. And if the remake isn't more accurate to what they want, or if it doesn't at least do something different to the original, then what reason does it have to exist? And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are actually not fans of the Disney live-action movies that they've been putting out, the live-action versions of their old animated films, is because the new live-action versions don't do anything new or original, and they're not necessarily more accurate to the original, fairy tales and books and whatnot. So why do they exist? Money. That's the only reason, is money. And people are catching on to that, and they're just not happy with it anymore. Obviously, still enough people are, fine with it that the movies are making money and whatnot, so they're going to keep getting made. But it is becoming a more noticeable thing to a lot of people that, well, there's nothing creative, new, original, exciting about stuff like that. Getting dry mouth over here. anyways, the point being that I feel that same thing watching Cyberverse. It's fun. I like the characters. But so far, the only thing that's really stuck with me about this series is RC with a big gun. I'll be honest, that's the only thing that's stuck with me. You know, the evergreen designs are cool, but they're still the same designs overall. And just other than that, there's not been anything original. There's not been an original MacGuffin. There's not been an original plot line. Really? Yes, even the season 3 Cybertron being enslaved by the Quintessons, that's not new. The idea of the Quintessons enslaving Cybertron has been around for a while. The only difference with this is that it's happening in the present versus being part of Cybertron's backstory. Yeah. So I don't know. There's still, the other special that I'm going to be watching next week. And that right there would have an opportunity to create something new. But so far, I don't know. As much fun as Cyberverse has been, as enjoyable as it is to watch, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth afterwards because it's not new. It's not exciting. It's not fresh. It's not worth it. Anyway, on that unfortunately depressing note, that's going to be it for this time. That's going to be it. And, I'll see you guys next week for the last, I don't know if it's going to be the last, but the next Cyberverse thing, and hopefully it's something new and original. I don't know. Anyway, see ya.